Hello, I've been running, and the name Christopher Wilcox popped into my head. Who is Christopher Wilcox?
Hi, Denise. Christopher Wilcox is born Trini from a father Venezuelan whose parents were from Colombia and England. My mother is a Trinidadian. She is from parents that are Creole and Chinese. So I am a true Callaloo. I was born here, but I spent half my life in Venezuela. I was very much in touch with the culture, the ways, the mannerisms. I saw the music in Venezuela, the salsas, merengues, the boleros, and all the different variations. The priority was to get your profession done. I'm a graphic designer and art director. I work in advertising. And so in those days, profession superpassed music. And so even though I always had a passion for music, however, found a chance to be able to do a little bit of a Parran over there in Venezuela. Gaita was the more popular thing back in Venezuela. So I was able to dabble with that a little bit, but again, the profession came first. Anyway, making the story short, I going here and there. So I ended up coming back to the land where I was born at, Trinidad, looking for opportunities in graphic design and things like that. I ended up working here in Port of Spain. But I was really taken by the amount of richness. I don't know if many people really understand the diversity and of the genres of music that they have in Trinidad. You could hear anything you want right here. That triggered something in me, and I wanted to get back into what I knew, which was parranda. The Venezuelan embassy had a little Parran group, so I joined the Parran group. And my little journey through Parran started right there. Right after that, I went to several Parran groups. The first Parran group, local Parran group, may I say, has an interesting story behind it. I did not know what the word was. The name of the band was called Guarahun. They were indeed crazy. After a while, I realized that no, the Parran is a little bit more structured than that. I've been to bands like Sabor Venezolano, a couple of Latin-based bands or mixed bands, Sabor Venezolano, Los Paisanos, then Canta Paranderos, Los Cantantes Festivos, Amigos Cantadores, a big band here. Unfortunately, I didn't stay too long, but it's a fantastic group. Up to now, after 10, 15 years, I've been doing a lot of Parran out there, such has diversified for particular reasons. And so they have started introducing a lot more, even though they always took music from Venezuela. Now they've taken a lot of music from the genres of salsa, merengue, and so on. That triggered something in me to say, look, this is the music I would like to execute it in my style and do my own thing, as you say. Somewhere around 2017, 2018, I decided, look, let me try to do some solo appearances. And my passions were boleros and ballads. And the next thing I've always loved coming from Venezuela was the Latin music, inspired by great music artists out there, Mark Anthony, Celia Cruz. I started my journey of trying to do solo performances, and it was going well. Of course, it's an uphill battle. Other factors that you can't control. And where I'm heading to with that, COVID came. So COVID slammed the door on me, and it was going quite well. Anyway, since COVID is not quite gone, but I've been in a regrouping process, and it has been going well, slow but well. As an unknown artist in other genres, that's the work I have to do because they know me. My position was lead singer and backup singer, and I do a lot of instruments, basically percussion. In the Parran world, I was established, but I wanted to do this almost new field that required me rebranding myself and getting myself to know all this. So I've been working in collaborations, playing in venues like restaurants, hotels, casinos, things like that. And it's been an ongoing project, but I plan to amp it up in the near future. This is my passion.
There's something you popped into my mind, and that is, I call it Parran.
In Venezuela, we need it as Parran. In Venezuela as such, and that's, I guess, for the people I know, an acquaintance that I know, Alicia Jagasad, does a lot of research in the Venezuelan culture and the music, and so it's a wealth of music and different vibes with the word parranda because it changes, the melodies and beats changes from east to west. And having said that, when you come to Trinidad and you have parranda, Parran, it's interesting because you've created, even though you've extracted all this from Venezuela, and Venezuela actually takes music from Trinidad too and changes it up, the calypso in particular. But they've been able to give the Parran here their own signature, if you want to call it like that, and style. That's basically the differences in the culture. There's a lot of variations, but Trinidad has put their stamp on it.
Tell me about the calypsos that Venezuelans take and change.
The Venezuelans, as such, to tell you the truth, I'd recently, even coming from Venezuela, but I did not know how strong the calypso beats, the genre, is on the east side of Venezuela, those areas around there. Take it and they, if that word exists, Latinize it or something. They give it extra beat and they speed it up a little more. What can I say? Sometimes what they really love is the rhythm of it, but they just want that Latin influence. On the east side of Venezuela, they like a lot of drums. I am fascinated with drum beats. I love congas, drum sets, bongos. I played pans, more of a bucket wishes, so I went straight to gravitated to the bass and the tenor basses. But yes, they speed it up and they give it that extra oomph with the beat of the drums. That's what the Latins like to feel in their music. I guess that's where I get that tendency of loving to hear that beat of bass pumping in your chest. That's basically it. But there's a lot of interchange and so on. I was fascinated by how they love that music. They may not pronounce the words properly, but in Trinidad, the Parran as such, when they loved what parranda was about, and gaitas, the pronunciation was not there, but they have perfected that in the past 15, 20 years, where you have a lot of people speaking perfectly, to the point that I've had Venezuelan acquaintances that would come up to a Parran member and say, "Oh, my compatriot, I love it."
You are a creative person and musician. What advise a young person to focus on?
Don't stop that passion you have and always continue pursuing it. At some point in life, in my particular case, it was at a latter stage because I had other priorities, unfortunately. Do not stop that passion, that willingness, and your goal, which is to sing. It's a beautiful thing in terms of, you want to call it stress relief, but you want to call it also a way of expressing yourself like in no other profession that could happen and in no other art form, where it's a matter of, in my case, you're one person dealing in daily life, but when you go on a stage or behind a mic, you'll be able to be yourself and sing and enjoy and project who you are. If that is your dream, always pursue it.
Tell us something about your various art potentials.
Right now, I'm a graphic designer, art director, but I am trying to focus more, transition into the music full time, hopefully, because that is what I like. I am a person that expresses projects and so when I'm on stage and so, and I love that part of me where I could communicate with people and in this particular case with music, be able to give out positive vibes. And if I have achieved that through performing and through sharing what I feel, who I am, that is something that I would love to put out there.
So you're a creative director, musician. What other art are you involved in?
I want to focus on the music. Every time I have a chance, you'll see me behind here. I have a setup with mics at home, my place to practice. My goals as a solo artist, I perform by myself, use tracks, but I'm also trying to gather a group together musically to perform in different venues where it is required, because it's always nice, even when you project into a crowd, also to have people that love the music that you're doing, share with them together to be able to give to the general audience.
Where do you see yourself as a musician in a few years?
I would love to be able to put myself at a position where people could see me enjoy the music and play in specific venues, hotels, bars, restaurants, even private homes, more at small concerts, people that understand and appreciate my music. Have been telling me in the Caribbean we could do this and that. That would be a blessing because you always have to have God first to be able to play in other countries, to bring my music, which is very specific to me. It's part of the Trinidad culture of diversity in music, to be able to perform at other stages, baby steps at a time. I would love to perform more at small concerts and venues and so where there's a larger crowds. And again, the most important thing, and actually is, even if it's a small crowd or big crowd, as long as I could get my message out there, which is my music, and get that vibe across to everyone that listens to me. That's what I really want to do.
And what is the name we should all be looking for?
That's a funny thing she said. I started, don't laugh, it was Euphoria before COVID. I said, let's keep it simple and let everybody know me for who I am, which is Christopher Wilcox.
Chris, what has been your best performance?
My best performance, again, as a emerging artist, nobody really knows me. And I was in the crowd, and the crowd was quite brutal, if I may put it that way. A performer after performer came, and they always had something to say. Me being the first time going to play at that venue, I was getting quite nervous. But when I went to perform, the assistant person told me, do you want to perform in the middle of the floor? I told him, no, put me on the stage far from this crowd, just in case. Nobody was going out to dance. They had jazz, Parran, folk music. Nobody was feeling the vibe. When I got up the stage and I started performing, the floor was packed. And this was really a testimony of also believing in yourself. Sometimes the person that's most critical of who you are is yourself. And in this particular occasion or scenario, told me, believe in yourself. They do like your music. Continue doing what you're doing best and take it to higher levels. That is one of my best.
And Chris Wilcox, as we come to an end, what would you like us to remember about this conversation?
Chris Wilcox, a bolero, a balladist, a Latin music performer, and so is out there to share with the Trinidad, the Caribbean.
Until next time, be safe.
Thank you.